ask you, Angela, because I had the privilege of talking with Patricia before. So I just want to start with you with this question. How is it, what is your place, and how is it now still being a woman in a man's world as they consider the number game? What is the difference that you would like to make, and what have you seen in the industry with women being in the finance and in the numbers game?
Well, my experience with men versus women in finance, my opinion is things have shifted tremendously in the last 30 days. Relationships as well as your knowledge plays a big role in how things end and who a client chooses. So things are changing. They are changing. However, for me, in my perspective, I can say that there is no way that I would have been invited in the room if I didn't have the education and the knowledge that I have. It just wouldn't have been possible. I had to excel in every area and overqualify for so many things, and just have a niche and ability to strategize and show your your value add for any type of project or contracts. So you have to be excellent. That still is the case in general, but I can tell you with the climate that we are in right now, clients are going with who can take them to the finish line.
Great answer. Patricia, you're next.
Mm-hmm. Well, you and I did talk about this before. We have 21 Black banks in this country. When I started in banking in the 80s, there were over 50, 54, 55 Black banks. Now we're down to 21. Some have failed, some have consolidated with other Black banks, and some have been purchased by non-Black banks. And of the 21, I know of 2 female presidents of the 21. I think that's it. There were a couple years ago, there were 4 female presidents, but now it's down to 2. Banking is still a white male dominant industry. When I go to the community bank conferences, it's probably 75% white men, maybe 75% white men there for the community banks, because there are 4,000 community banks around the country. So when you go into the room, I mean, there's just 1,000 people, and it's predominantly white men.
Wow.
That is
Sharon.
something. That is something. It really is. So we definitely have to make that change. We've got to do that. And thank you for doing that.
Also, a lot of the community banks, and we don't think about it this way because we live in this area, in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. But a lot of the community banks are 1 or 2 branches in the middle of Oklahoma, and there's some very rural parts of Georgia, in the middle of Kentucky. So that's why there's so many banks, and those areas that are predominantly white, they're predominantly white male presidents.
Well, Patricia, as an educator, I am always excited to see when business owners, entrepreneurs give back to the schools and to the students. So can you share a little bit about your work as a board member of the public charter school, Roots Public Charter School?
Oh yeah. We have Roots Public Charter School. They've been one of our customers forever. Bernita Thompson started the Roots Activity Learning Center. And then she opened the Roots Public Charter School. And she is very committed to the children. And so I've been on that board probably I guess about 6 years or so, 5 or 6 years. And we at Industrial Bank, we do a lot of financial literacy. We've gone to places at Roots, we go to other schools. Um, it might be a one-time job fair event, or it might be that we're part of a program, their finance program, at one of the high schools, where we come back once a month as they're going through a particular curriculum. The other financial literacy program that I spent a lot of time talking to Karen about is at DC Jail. We have a program that runs for 8 weeks, 3 times a year at DC Jail, and we do all different topics every Tuesday. It might be about budgeting. It might be about, I do the real estate topic, credit, savings, investments. So we do a lot of community service, which I'm very, very proud of. Unfortunately, during this time, the schools aren't there and we're not able to go. As soon as this became a pandemic, the DC jail had to cut off our program. So I'm hoping by fall we'll be able to go back into the schools, into DC jail. And we do a lot of financial literacy with the churches and their parishioners. We do a lot of that as well.
That's awesome. I love it. It's all about giving back.
Mm-hmm.
And just going to you, Angela, I know you as well, being a graduate of North Carolina Central University, a proud Eagle.
Yes,
you are very passionate about making sure that you're giving back to that university as well. Can you talk a little bit about your efforts in that arena?
Yes, North Carolina Central University, I can say I'm very proud that they are the #1 HBCU in the country this year. They are a university that gives anyone a chance who, who applies. So I am an advocate of supporting the university. They are building a business school this year. And our firm is supporting any outreach efforts to raise funds for that school. I can say North Carolina Central has a history of building bosses, and I'm thankful to be a graduate because they gave me a chance as a young mother where it wasn't available for me with other universities, so they gave me a start. And they started in 1876, and so I am very passionate about helping others who may not have had an opportunity. I know ex felons who spent 10 years in prison, and now he's a professor at a community college because of North Carolina Central University. Talk about an accomplishment. That is a huge accomplishment. There are so many stories of just success stories at that university. They really care about their students. So I'm very passionate about just making sure others have an opportunity to be great.
Thank you both. Thank you.
Yes, that was great answers. So, and just wanting to stay there, that was going to be my next question as well. It's both of you all about community and giving back to your community. And I just want to ask, I was raised in the system, in order to receive a blessing, you must first be a blessing. So just why is it important to you to give back and give back to your community, and where is it rooted from? So what is the substance that you stand for? Mm-hmm. And I would start with Angela. Let's go back to Angela first.
Okay. I am a country girl from North Carolina. I am
Sharon and
rooted.
I said, woohoo! Sorry about
I
that.
am rooted in helping others, and because none of us got to where we are on our own, and we owe it to one another to, if you make it, or even if you're on your way up, to pull someone else up. And as a, just a business owner and a successful CEO, I would say it is our responsibility to teach our young women and our young men on what it takes to be successful. And we have to start now, because in our community, if we don't teach them, who will? So it just takes us as professional women to come together, and to collaborate and support Black banks like an industrial. Because, I will give you an example. We have clients who come into, we're a minority firm, and if you look us up online, they tell, we're excellent customer service, 5 stars, known for our customer service. But you'll get a customer that'll go to Walmart, right? Lousy service. They'll go anywhere and they'll deal with that service. But they won't, if they go to a Black establishment and it's not up to par that day, or someone doesn't take their order fast enough, we blast each other. But we got to support each other. That's where it starts. And our business owners have to, at a minimum, just, attempt to be excellent, because you can't just give clients anything. So it's just on both ends, we have to support each other. We got to pool our resources. That is the only way that we move forward. I know in this area, we kind of live in a bubble. And once you get outside of this area, things are very, very different. We are blessed in this area to have the support and the very successful people here, but not everybody has that. So how do we scale that? First, we got to start with ourselves. And if we can get it right here, then maybe we scale to the other states, but we got to start somewhere. And I say, where do you start? Access to capital, support industrial. They're a Black bank. You go to other banks, you stand in line and you don't complain. So put your money in industrial and stand in line. At least you're supporting a bank that may support you someday. So that's my spiel. I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
That was a good spiel. Spill that tea, girl.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So Patricia, I just want to say, we have a relationship, and I'm just thank God that over the years we have continued to build on that. So I know the history of just giving back. Your family just made it mark in the community as being community first. So just tell us again, I just want to know what was that like growing up in a household, knowing that community was first and foremost, and it was important to give back to your community in the banking industry, and how do that, just affect you now to the day?
Well, my father always, who was the successor to my grandfather at the bank, he always supported Black businesses, but he also grew up in an era where that's what they had to do. He grew up in the Shaw area, LaDroit Park, U Street area in Washington, D.C., where they didn't go downtown a lot. The 2 Black communities were the Shaw area or the U Street area and Georgetown. That's where Blacks lived. And Blacks had their own businesses, and they made their own business in order to survive. And so in those communities, they all supported one another. You had all the businesses right in the area that you needed, and you supported them. You went across the street to Lee's Flowers to get your flowers, or you went down the street to the Black tailor or the person that shined your shoes, or to the Black attorney, all right in the same neighborhood. So my father always did that. He was always talking about supporting Black businesses. But it's also important that we give back to our Black community now so we can help them build wealth, so we can depart our knowledge on them so that they know about credit, or they know how to borrow, or they know how to build a business. They might want to buy a piece of real estate. They need to build their own wealth, build wealth for them to retire down the road, build wealth to pass on to their families. So it's important